Kia ora, good morning. Happy Sabbath day. I just woke up a little while ago. I've just had some breakfast and I'm still drinking my coffee, so if you hear me go quiet, I'm hearing a sup. So, hearing a stretch too. I'm just wearing my Doctor Who t-shirt and nothing else. Well, underwear, but I'm just hearing a stretch. Hang on. So, you see, when I build my foundation, and I have my haunted house, see, the idea being is that I want to be able to see houses where they're going to be demolished, if there's any houses that are going to be demolished in like our city or our area or whatever, that suits what it is I'm looking for, which is kind of that Herman Munster, Addams Family kind of aesthetic. And of course our veterans graveyard will be beside us, and like it's like a whole thing. When it's not being set up for the month of October, from the 1st of October until the 31st of October, we're open. But then, I can't just have the building sitting there doing nothing. It needs to be making money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite people from all over the world, tarot readers and, clairvoyants, and even paranormal investigators if they wanted to. Anyone who is interested in the occult world, who wants to take it seriously, who genuinely wants to do good work with what it is their craft is, and actually helping the dead and be a voice for the dead and help keep these people's memories alive and their stories alive, and train more as they go. Like, once I let them back out into the world, it's up to their ancestors in the universe and that to take over their training, but they'll know what to do. They'll have the core fundamentals right there. But because it's going to be a club, like a membership, we will always be in contact with each other, because we'll have like a special app kind of thing where we can all sort of chat with each other, and we'll always be in contact. We'll have reunions, and they might even want to come back for new courses and classes, and they may even want to eventually start teaching themselves. But I've got this whole, and I've had it planned for many, 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 many years, because one of my friends who was going to be my run my HR department, her and I talked about the whole marketing and advertising of this membership for a long time. She was in Massachusetts, and so I've been thinking about this for a very long time. So they will always have first try of new products. It's the people in my membership club that are going to be the very first people in the world to try my tarot cards and my training. They're not technically technically they are tarot, but technically they're not tarot. Not the first one, not my folk deck, my FOTE, Force Open the Eye deck. And it's a training card deck that I have been developing for decades. Because my big sister Marion, she was the one that said, right, rubbed her hands together when we were in Perth, Western Australia, and said, you're ready to start your training. And she said, I need you to go out and find a pack of cards, normal playing cards. And she said, and when you find them, come back and we'll get started. And my brother-in-law just happened to be working as a security guard at Jupiter's Casino in Perth, Western Australia, and he came back with a big bag of them because they were going to throw them out. Because what they do is every pack of cards at the casino only gets played once, and then it gets put away, and they punch like a hole in the middle of it so they can never be used again. And then excuse me, then they would sell them to the public. And they had like way, like they were gonna throw them out, incinerate them, and my brother-in-law said, I'll take some. And so he came home with a big bag, and I said to him, can I have a pack? And he says, yeah, go for it. So here I was at then 16, rummaging through, and I felt it. It was like when I put my hands on the cards, it was like my hand felt like it was on fire, and I knew that was the deck for me. Like it shot up my hand and kind of like hit me in the solar plexus. I'm just going to have a sip of coffee. Excuse me. And then I took them to my sister and I said, I found my cards, what do I do? And, it all started from there. So I started my training with cards at 16. Generally speaking, if you're going to be a card reader, you should start when you're a child. In my culture, there are some things that children are allowed to be a part of in the occult world, but there are some things that they're not allowed to engage in until the woman starts her period. Once she starts her period, then she's allowed to step in like the next phase of her training. Then her aunties and her mum and all that will intensify her training. But even then, there are rules that we have to abide by when we do have our periods. There are some things that I don't know about other Indigenous cultures. I don't know about First Nations cultures or Aborigines or anything like that. But I know with Māori people, and I'm pretty sure most Polynesian people, us islanders, there are certain things that women are not allowed to do when they've got their mate, when they've got their period, because the land is so sacred to us. So like we're not allowed to handle meat when we have our mate. We're only allowed to prepare the vegetables and that, and someone else has to cook the meat. Or obviously back in the day, the men were the ones that cooked the food. We prepared the vegetables and the men cooked the meat. But yeah, we're also not allowed near natural bodies of water. So we can't go swimming in the ocean or the river or the lakes or anything like that when we have our mate, because it's seen as unclean. They would actually put us up in a special house that was like up off the ground, and then they would like bring us food and we'd have to eat it in our little whare until our periods were done. So yeah, so there's a lot of things, a lot of rules that Indigenous people adhere to when it comes to how they practice the occult in conjunction with working with Papatuanuku, Mother Earth, because she is so sacred to us. She's our grandmother, but she's also like our most precious baby. She's our most precious seed in this whole world of ours, is the planet itself. And so, she is a god to us. She is a goddess to us. And to Indigenous people, we see the planet exactly the same way that we see God. They're one and the same. And we look at the universe as well as being the womb of the mother created by God. So it's like we have that balance between, you can have a God that is considered male dominant energy, but you can also have a God that is female dominant energy. And when you bring the two together, you live in paradise. anywhere in the world. And it heals you, and then you're able to use that knowledge to heal everybody else. And that's what I'm trying to do through my business, through my foundation, through everything I create. It is to promote the beauty, the absolute beauty of Indigeneity. And it doesn't matter whether you're a white skin, black blood like me, or whether you're a brown skin whitey like a lot of the rest of them running around out there with Scottish blood or Viking blood in them, because those Scots and the Picts and the Picts and the Vikings, man, they got around, didn't they? A lot further than history will ever tell you. Oh my God, they got around. They kept that navigation blood in them from when we crossed the waters from North Africa. And it was beautiful because like they conquered everything. Been there, done that. Even New Zealand, the Moriori's spoke about these people. They found um, standing stones and stuff in the forest in New Zealand with like is it Viking, Celt kind of. They've tried to shut it all down. They don't want people to know that possibly the Scottish or the Vikings made it to New Zealand before they wanted history to believe that natives were ever running around there. And they say, this is why you see a lot of Māori people with red hair. The red hair is a Viking Spanish genetic mutation. And for whatever reason, when these mutant gened people of northern Spain had to flee Spain, they ended up in Ireland, who then helped populate Scotland. So the red hair travel far and wide, and there's skeletons in the deserts of America and all of that, and even Africa, I think, as well, or the Arab lands, of the giants with the red hair and the tartan. I mean, of course it's the Scottish and Irish, the Celts and the Picts, and, Vikings, because the Vikings were half the reason why the red hair came about. So there's things to learn about our planet and our migration pattern and the things that we've picked up, like runes, for example. Runes are the perfect, and bones as well, are the perfect tool for men to read, because it is like the earth itself. And when it comes to the governance of the earth itself, that is the man, because he is the hunter and the gatherer. He is the conjurer. He gathers from nothing and brings it back to the woman who casts the wishes out. I need you to go and get some food. Yes, dear. Goes off, gets a mammoth, brings it back. That's casting and conjuring within, a male-female union. And he protects the grounds and he protects the earth. So when it comes to the occult side of male practices, it's things like runes and bones, because it's the rocks and it's the animals, and they are the farmers and the agriteurs and all that sort of thing. So, but when it comes to the actual root of the earth, like the herbs and the vegetables and the trees and the plants and the flowers, that's the woman's job. Because she's the one who has the seed planted. She's the one who plants the seeds of whatever it is that's going to grow, that the man has put in place for her. He's made sure that her space is clean and clear enough and protected enough that she can come along and fertilise those seeds that they're going to grow together. So when it comes to things like reading with cards, women are better. It's supposed to be women. Not to say that men can't read cards at all. I don't care about that. I'm just saying that statistically you will find that women are a lot better and a lot quicker at learning to read with cards, because cards are made from, were once trees. And the trees, when it comes to trees, that's the woman's job. The woman is the one who communicates um, with the trees, but also children as well. Once the man finishes puberty, he goes off to protect the trees, to make sure that the parameters around the trees are safe and that there's no predators, and keep deer population down, and let there be enough of the balance of the ecosystem that the wolves and the bears and all of that will handle the things that need to be sort of kept in line. And he makes sure that the cows are looked after, that, or the bulls or whatever, that are gonna plough the crops and all that sort of thing. So he takes care of the land while she grows everything on it, and then he will maintain everything she grows. He'll look after it all while she kind of like faffs about to make sure that the trees and the plants and the herbs and the spices and the coffee and the tea and all that is just right. Because the woman is the nurturer, and what the woman casts within herself, within her heart, is to feed everybody else. It's the woman's job to take care of the children, the elderly, the younger women, the hungry men, the working men, the sick. That's the woman's job. So what she creates in her kitchen, what she creates from her mind, comes from her heart, and that's a lot of power. That's a lot of power to have. And then when you put that power into reading your cards, the connection that you end up having with the person that you're doing the reading for, like, it becomes unbreakable at that point. I used to have people come to me for readings when I was learning, sometimes a couple of times a month. And then they'd only need one every few months, and then every couple of years. Because as I was getting better and they were opening up more and I was able to read them better, what I was giving them was soul gratifying. So it kind of calmed them down. It wasn't a necessity anymore, because they had faith in the process. And that's how it's supposed to be. You're really only supposed to be doing readings with people once every couple of years. If you're good at what you do, you shouldn't be having clients coming back all the time. It should be once every couple of years. And then they just come in for a top up. And with my membership, my cards, my Phote deck will only be going to members, and the members will have to pass a interview process. Their skills will be put to the test. Their backgrounds will be checked. It's going to be an exclusive thing, and then you'll get invited to come and have training. And I will have, because I've got a whole list of people that I want to talk to when this is over, to offer them jobs as teachers, as readers, that sort of thing, as like stars, our welcomed stars sort of guest sort of thing, even though some of them don't have like gajillions of followers or anything like that. I've been watching them very intensely for many, 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 many years, some of these people, and there's people that I've had to cross off the list, and new people that I've put on. There's a new batch that I'm watching at the moment, and I'm ready to go. I want to offer some of these people jobs, and there's a couple of them that I want to invite to be teachers, to come and teach in my haunted house, and then like you'll be able to stay in the haunted house. It'll be like a hotel in itself, like a boarding house, and so you'll come and you'll stay, and then you'll have classes. And our graveyard is going to come in really handy for training and all of that. So so for the times where we're not giving it over to the haunted house for Halloween, I'm going to use that as a cult school. And if there's any kids that want to come and join the classes and that, they'll be more than welcome. I would love it actually, because it's better to get these kids when they're young, so that you can kind of guide them in the right direction, instead of being like lemmings jumping off the cliff straight into doing seances and using Ouija boards and that, knowing what it is they're in for if they dabble with it, like getting them while they're young. So yes, I'm going to have my training deck, and they'll be given this training deck to work on, and I'll sit with them, while they're learning it, and yeah, they'll go through like a training process, because it's all what I used to do with the students before. Anyway, the only thing is that I didn't vet them. I should have vetted them, but I was keen as a bean. I was just so happy that people wanted to learn what I was talking about. And then little did I know, after paying no money, doing no training, doing nothing respectful when it came to the morality test, and they all failed, they decided that they'd learnt enough, and let's poison the minds of people to make sure that what she does never gets out, because if she reaches her potential, we're all screwed, and we're going to be out of jobs because we want to have our own spiritual centre, because she came up with the idea for it, and Santaro talked about it in her readings. Their spiritual centre, apparently, according to her readings, they're all fighting amongst themselves. This was a while ago, which was my idea. This whole spiritual centre thing was my idea. So, but anyway, I ended up creating something way, because they only stole the seed. They didn't know the seed, what it was that they'd stolen. It's like they cut the seed up before they let it grow into anything, but I let my seeds grow, and it turned into my occult school. That's going to look like a haunted house. So we're going to take take a house apart, build it back up again. We're going to we'll say to the people doing the demolition, look, if we take it down for you, you're going to save all that money, because you won't have to pay anyone to do it, and we'll do it all for you. We'll clean it up, whatever you want, and then we'll take it down, and then we'll build it back up to our specifications, and yeah, turn it into a haunted house, and it'll be a training school for the occult. And then once I know that my folk deck is reliable, and I've ironed out all the kinks in that, then I'm going to design my 2 actual decks to read from. I started with an idea a few years ago, but it has morphed and changed so much since then. I've got some cards designed where it's literally just going to be like a couple of lines and a squiggle. I mean, it's there's more to it than that, but yeah. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I can't wait to sit down with my little graphic designer. My ex-husband was supposed to be the one to design the cards. Someone had offered to put up the money to have the cards done, and he was going to do the art for them. Not now. Well, I mean, yeah, it's all changed so much now. I don't know if he would be able to. I think what I'm thinking of might be beyond his artistic limits, to be honest, because he lost empathy. The empathy fell out of his artwork, and it became very childlike and dark. His art style changed so much that anything he created from that point on is just toxic. And I want dark and twisted and spooky and scary, not toxic. There's a difference. I want to be able to, because my cards are designed to decalcify your pineal gland and activate your vagus nerve. I tap into your biometric frequency. And that's what a reader does when they sit down to do a reading with their client. So here's your first lesson. If you do readings for people or for the collective online, the one thing you don't have to do, which I see a lot of readers doing, see when they're shuffling their cards, they repeat the question over and over and over and over again. Like, tell me about cancer, tell me about cancer, tell me about the Fool, tell me about the Fool, over and over again as they're shuffling. You don't need to do that. In actual fact, it can be quite detrimental to the connection. Detrimental, excuse me, detrimental to the reading if you overstuff the ballot, so to speak. Because what you have to remember is these were once trees rooted into the earth, connected to the spirits in the air, communicating with the ancestors in the ethers. That's what our trees do. You know, they're like our arboreal council. They keep everything in check and keep everything in balance on the planet, and communicate, give reports back to the ancestors in the ethers. And then the gods are watching over, and that sort of thing, and they have these little chats and talks, and when there's a crisis situation, they ring the alarm bells like the Amazon. And with a little help from my friends, that's what that's all about. And the wee Indigenous boy Lewis comes along and ends up speaking on behalf of the trees. And when the war breaks out between Jeb the Goblin King and the Earth Kingdom, some of the trees get affected. Some of the trees get chopped down, some of the waters get poisoned a little, but Lewis comes in just in time to help them fight this war. And then Jeb gets killed, and when Jeb dies, everyone else becomes powerless and they back off, and then the Earth Kingdom win in protecting the other realms, the other kingdoms. But he's protecting the grandmother tree. And while there are grandfather trees, the grandfather trees' roles, as I said, are as the protectors to the grandmothers. They fertilise them and they protect them. Like, that's the role of the man. So if you're one of these people who has a deck of cards that they have trouble connecting to, they just aren't feeling it, chances are it could have been made by a male tree. Or you're a very masculine man who hasn't been granted access to tap into the matriarchal root. It just means it means that you're built for other things like runes and bones and divination and alchemy and all that sort of thing. So it just means that it's not meant for you, but that the role of the seer, the one who sees, is supposed to be it's supposed to be the woman's role. That's why all the oracles were women. It's because when it comes to intuition, you have to be all about the emotion. And women rule emotion. Men rule the mental. Men rule the mind. Women rule the emotion. Men rule the parameter, the biometric parameter. The biomagnetic parameter, the physical. And the women rule the biometric, which is like the intuitive, what comes from the mind up into the ethers. And again, that's not to say that men can't and men don't and men shouldn't and blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying that when it comes to most occult things, the woman is going to be a lot more powerful because she's the one that carries the womb. She's the one that grows the seed. She's the one that knows what plants to use to heal your body. She's the one that knows how to touch your heart in a way that saves your life, saves your marriage, that sort of thing. Because she taps into the ethers and her ancestors guide your ancestors. So they're already prepared for what they're going to say to the person you're reading for before you even sit down and pick up the cards. When you're shuffling, you're the ones tuning into them. You're the ones tuning into your guides by using the cards. The cards are there as a tool for you. They already know what you're going to say. They already know what you need to say. They already have it all ready to go. The second you picked those cards, they come online and they know exactly what they're going to say. So you don't need to repeat the question or the request over and over again as you're shuffling, because what that can do is, when you ask the first time, because the universe takes you on the first thing that comes out of your mouth, that's what the universe takes you on, your first words. So when you say, tell me about cancer, that's enough. And then just keep shuffling until you're ready to lay it out. But if you keep repeating it, what happens is you'll go, tell me about cancer, and they'll go, right, okay, and then you go, tell me about cancer, and they go like, oh, okay, right, where do I start? Oh, okay, right, oh, because you're constantly like pushing the button, and what happens when you constantly push a button, it can freak the whole system down and shut it down, and you can have brain freezes, you could get stuff wrong, you can have go blank, get conflicting images and that, and then that's when you get stuff wrong. And we can't get this stuff wrong when you've been put in a position to be given the privilege and the honor of giving someone's soul life advice. You can't get this wrong because otherwise you don't deserve to be taking the titles of High Priestess and Clear Audiacics. This is a privilege, not a right. And there are a lot of things that most of you won't even have access to because it won't even be your birthright. It won't even be something that is genetically been unlocked within your DNA because your ancestors never earned the right to unlock that part of man's ability. Like maybe they took it too far and killed innocent people, like in the Salem witch trials or something. And so you either have to work your ass off and have an ascension to earn the right to unlock that part of you, or you'll never be allowed to do certain things in the occult because it wasn't earned by your ancestors. Which is why when you are chosen for an ascension, it is such an honor and a privilege, because it means you're the one that has been chosen to be strong enough to not just break any karmic cycles and pay off karmic debt that you've occurred in this life and in others, but it means you've been chosen to pay off the ones for your ancestors as well, which when you do that, that's when you get to unlock a DNA upgrade. And all the ancestors of yours that did get it right are the ones that sit in the ethers, like your puppet masters pulling all the strings. So they know what you're going to say. They know the message that needs to be conveyed to the person you're reading for, because they would have already been in contact with their ancestors up in the ethers as well, because it's only the ones that died with pure hearts that get to go on to become part of the council. They're the wiser, our wisest ancestors are the ones who watch over us and, take on the form of scary things when we have sleep paralysis, and they can be your sleep paralysis demon and all that sort of thing. They're the ones that have the right to guide you on this journey because they earned it. And we want to get to the point in our evolution when where we die, we get offered the opportunity to become part of our ancestral council of elders. Most of us just say, "No, I want to give it another go," but this time I want to come back as a fat cat or a spoilt llama or something. I don't know. I want to come back as a palm tree and watch over the beaches of El Salvador or something. I don't know. But you get the choice, and that's the important thing. So so that's just, like, you don't have to take my advice, but I honestly do know what I'm talking about. I've this is one area of my life that I have studied within an inch of its life because I grew up with my mum doing card readings and watching my sisters do card readings, and my sister Paula was the one who did tarot readings, and it's really freaky how she got her tarot readings, which in itself I needed to examine as a kid. I can't have been more than, I'm just trying to think. I don't even know how old I was. It was a long time ago. I think it might have been when I went over for my honeymoon. So it would have been like 21, 22. I think. I think. I'm having a hard time remembering my past now because none of it was real. So much of it ended up being a lie. I only remember the good stuff. I only remember the stuff that's pertinent to my journey now. My sister got a package arrive at the door with the address and no name. I think it was. It wasn't. It was her address, but there was no name on it. And when she opened it up, it was a tarot deck of cards, and she didn't know how to return it because there was no account number, there was no account name, it didn't make any sense. She hadn't ordered it, and we were like, well, look at it as a gift from God. So she's like, okay. So she started reading them. She was absolutely phenomenal, but I needed to figure out what the hell had just happened. And yeah, I mean, obviously we all knew what it was, but she ended up being incredible with it. No, I must have been younger. I must have been a lot younger. I must have been like, I wonder if it might have been when I went back to Western Australia the second time, because she was the one that told me who I was going to marry. She was the one that saw who I was actually going to marry, like my actual husband, not the pretend things that I had before, but the actual one. And yeah, so I must have only been about 18, 19. I thought I was younger than that. But yeah, she was incredible. She blew my mind with how she was with her tarot cards. I think another sister now uses cards, and I know my niece does. I don't know about the others, but most of them gave up on their gifts. Most of them let go because they lost faith. But it's because we had been raised to understand it all wrong, and it's no one's fault. We were all taught things that were wrong, and that's why we get stuff wrong. And so we give up thinking, oh, either, I'm done with God, I'm done with the ancestors, I have no gift, I'm done with this, blah, blah, blah. But it's because we were taught wrong. And so our ancestors put me here to become the scientist, the occult scientist, the ascension scientist, all of it, the biorhythmic engineer, all of it. They created me because they knew that I would be able to fix the glitch. They created me to fix the glitch. And now I can show you all how to do it. So once I get justice and I get my money and I get out of here, one of the very first things I do after getting a lawyer and an estate agent and a personal assistant and set up my radio station and hire people to help me with my little radio station from my garage or whatever, um, is I want to sit down with a illustrator who will sit and draw the templates for my float deck, for my training deck, and then eventually what I'll do, for the members that don't want to get on a plane and come over to have training at the school, they'll download training tutorials, that they'll be able to upload as part of their membership, and they will have like once a week, depending on how many members there are, once a week, once a month, whatever, live tutorials where they can ask me questions and I'll sit and, help them with their training, and they can message me if they need help with anything, and, so they'll have that personal access to me. It's ways I can earn money working around my pain, because I've obviously now I've had to come up with ways to be able to do everything I want to do while managing pain, especially if I end up living in a country like Russia where medical marijuana isn't legal. I'm going to have to go to other countries next door where it is legal and have a card, and then when I'm in pain I'm going to have to disappear for a few days at a time and then come back and start again. But I still will be, if I've got a laptop and Wi-Fi, there's still a lot of things I'll be able to do even while I'm in the other country dealing with my pain, because I've mastered how to do it. If I can stay pain-free 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, then, I'd be off like a rocket as far as finding ways to make money. It's just the pain slows me down a lot, especially on the days where I can't cook. Because like lifting things becomes really painful, because obviously when the weight is on my arms, it pulls on the nerves in my abdomen area, and it can be really painful. And because I'm not allowed to carry anything heavier than a bag of sugar, but sometimes, I'll have to go and get shopping and I don't have a choice but to carry water back and, that sort of thing. So, but I think I've done pretty well figuring it all out. It means I get to stay home and be a homebody, but also go down to the foundation and do my courses and all of that. I want to do, personally, I want to do my training at night. All the other teachers can do their thing during the day, but, whoever I choose to be the teachers, they'll have to come and spend time with me and get to know me. So I'll put them up and see that the place that I have my eye on in Moscow, in that Oblast place, they have staff housing, I think with like 3 bedrooms in it. But I also want to put up a couple of little chalets on the property, if the property's big enough. I genuinely don't know how big the property's going to be. If the land itself is too small and I can't buy adjacent land or anything like that, then I probably won't be able to go with that property. I'll have to look for somewhere else, because the building itself, the main building of it, the Oak Tree Inn, is only like one small part of what I need. I need more land, and I can always build what I need. Not that I need to build a lot, but that place has everything I need. And if there is enough land, then I can build the couple of things that I do need, like the Babysitters Club, Diana's place and all of that, the haunted house, a recording studio for, like an allotment for the production company, that sort of thing. I'm pretty sure there's stuff there that I can already utilise. And for the little bits that I do need to build, it wouldn't be a lot if that property has the right amount of land on it, which I think it does, but I'm bad at maths, so I'd need to see it with my own eyes. But the haunted house bit, I'd pop down and I'd do my training at night. It's just I do all my recording and flitting and that during the day, and then I'd be rearing to go at night. So I'd come down and give my classes, with the training, and with the, you know, the decks and all the things that they need to learn and stuff. And yeah, so the people that I want to ask to be teachers, where, you know, they'd come over for a couple of months a year to be teachers, I'd put them up in these little chalets. I want to build a couple of little chalets, or in the staff quarters, because there is a place that does have, it's for staff, and it has I think it was 3 bedrooms. I think it was 3, because I know I was thinking, if it was the property I did buy, the boys and I could live in that until we were ready to open up, and then I'd just find a place of my own, hopefully close by and not too big, because I want just like a little homestead. I don't want anything big and grand, just a little homestead with a porch. And I'm pretty sure that area isn't homestead with porchy kind of area, but if I was able to build a homestead with a porch on the property, then that would be perfect. And then when on my lazy days, I'd just drive around in a little golf cart. Beep, beep. They'd see me coming. I'd have it painted to look like a dragon with little dragon wings. They'd see the little red dragon coming driving down the hill. They'd say, "Oh, here's Mama Bear." So anyway, yeah. So that's the first lesson for now, guys. Is you don't need to repeat the question. Um, they're waiting for you to tap into them, so that they grant you permission to read the person that you're sitting reading for. But once you have that connection with them, when you know that, you know, you won't get a single thing wrong with the person that reading is for, because I know that you read for the collective, and I know that everybody says that that's happening to them, but you read about a lot of intense things that statistically it can only be for a couple of people in the entire world. But whoever that reading hits the mark for, that was the exact person that you were meant to do the reading for. It's just you're kind of like having to wade through the field of corn in order to, you're wading through the maze of corn until you find that one piece of corn that's gonna like be the sweetest one. They always say that in a field of corn there's one that is the sweetest of them all. So yeah, you're wading through the haystack to find the needle. But once you do, man, you hit your mark, and that's it. And then it is such an empowering feeling that you ascend. You can actually feel as your vibration rises with your mood, that's you ascending. Like that, that's you ascending. Oh my God. That's an ascension. That's you upgrading. You actually feel the physical lift. That's supernatural. You just experienced a supernatural event where time and ancestry connected you with a complete stranger so that you could change your life forever. That's a supernatural event. So it is a privilege and an honour. And we need to be promoting the readers out there who know it's a privilege and an honour, but are having to wade through all the hay to find the needle. By the time I'm done with them, they will be exclusive readers. There'll be people that will learn. Don't give that skill to just anyone, because people will take and 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 take for as long as you're offering to give. Just because you're spiritual, just because you're enlightened, and even Jesus Christ himself had to learn the hard way, just because you're sent to be a messenger for ancestors and gods and stuff, doesn't mean you have to give yourself to everyone, because most people won't listen to your advice, most people won't take your advice, and most people will blame you for not taking your advice, and then everything going wrong. You are not for everybody. When you sit down and turn those cameras on, you are for one, maybe 2 people. For the intense stuff, it's one person. because not everybody's chosen for an ascension. And for the real readers out there, you're the ones guiding people through the start of what should be their ascension. Because we all had triggers. My teacher, Pauline Wardell Braddon, she was my trigger. Well, technically, probably my sister Marion with my cards, but when, when they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears, that was Pauline. She was the one that took what tiny little seed that I had in my card readings and turned me into an occult scientist. She actually rang the members of her society, the Old English Club, the Old English Society. She actually rang members of them up. She said, I found the chosen one. And then she made me talk to them all. And I was so embarrassed. Oh my God, she threw me right in the deep end, the bugger. She's like the Tasmanian devil. Yet she threw me in on the deep end. I had to read for everyone. Oh my God, and these were like people with like titles and letters after their name, and these were people. And she just threw me in there. So, yeah, that's how I learned about the Illuminati and all of it. So, and then that was when I was in New Zealand. And then in 2000, I met Chris in 99, I think it was. No, was it 98? It was the year after my dad died. 99, and then I moved to the UK in the 2000, and then boy was I put through the trial by fire. This country made and broke me about 1,000 times, but I'm still standing. I tapped into my Scottish and Irish ancestors who are all like kings and knights, like actual knights with Sir in front of their names. I tapped into that. Bit of Boudica as well, in order to survive it all. I made it to the top of the mountain, and I've got my sword and my shield, and I've raised my sword high. They didn't break me. They only made me stronger and more powerful. So now I'm ready to pass all of that on to everybody else. And I kicked and screamed and I said, when they kept trying to say, we need you to teach, and I don't want to be a teacher. Like, I've got PTSD from teaching because my last lot of students tried to take my children away and send them to groomers and tried to kill me so they could claim all my work as their own. None of them have any gifts whatsoever. None of them did the training. None of them graduated. I let Rhea think she did, but I put so many mistakes in her certificate to make it null and void, just to get rid of her, because I knew she was stirring trouble. But I was still learning, and they were part of my training. They were the minions that the devil put in place in order to train me. And so now I'm ready to teach those who have actually earned the right. And there are a couple that I want to even invite to be teachers, and I will, once I know where I'm going to live, because I genuinely don't know. I honestly don't know. It's a choice between Russia and America at this point. If they get rid of Trump and, bring in something a bit more decent, it could be America. I genuinely don't know. There is a town in South Dakota for sale that I had my eye on a long time ago that would be perfect as well. So it's kind of like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I personally, if I could make my wish come true with all my heart, I would want to go to Russia. But I think it would be easier to get into America, and medicinal weed is legal if they can get rid of Trump. But it's like my second option. But I'll go where I need to go. And then once I know where I am, then I'll invite these teachers over to come and spend some time with me so that we can go over the training process, so that I can correct some things in them that need to be released and corrected and healed and that, they can just come and chill out and have good wholesome food and, sit out on decks by the lake if it's the property that I have my eye on in Moscow, um, and just mill about with the animals and, go shopping in the city and watch it all be built in that. And then when we're ready to go, we'll go through the interview process of picking members. And then, once we're ready to open up the hotel or the school, they can either choose to stay at the school or stay in the chalets. I genuinely kind of want to keep the chalets for um, like teachers and people I consider the masters of their field. When we're inviting them to like maybe come and share their skills with the kids or take part in something we're doing, I want to have the chalets for them, because then they've got their own privacy. And if it turns out they might be a little bit famous or recognised or something like that, at least then they've got their own privacy, but they'll also have security there as well, because my security is going to be top notch. So yeah, the Royal Oak Tree Inn I would prefer for, the paying guests and that. So so yeah, so I can't wait. So I've got plans, and then of course, once it's time to start turning the house into Halloween, then I'll, the classes will stop. We'll shut everything down, move everything out, and give it over to horror. Now I'm telling you now, people, if you're bringing your kids, take them to the family-friendly Halloween part. But don't be taking them into that haunted house unless they are 100% convinced they're going to be able to handle it. And then we're going to want it documented that they agreed, no, I promise I won't be scared. Like, all I'm saying is there's going to be kid friendly, and then there's going to be Halloween. And if you allow your kids to cross that boundary, then legally that's going to be on you, because when it comes to Halloween, all bets are off. It's my one time of the year where I get to rise from the underworld and be a little bit naughty and cheeky and spooky and show my true underworld Scorpio side. So, I mean, it's not nothing illegal. There's not going to be anything illegal. There's not going to be anything, where we're going to be needing ambulances or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, I want to be the queen of Halloween, and I want people to look forward to coming back to us every year to that haunted house to see what we've done with it, because every year is going to be a different theme. And I want people to be scared so bad that they want to keep coming back to be scared some more. That's what I mean. So, yeah, I want to be a repeat attraction at Halloween. I want our Halloween festivals all that month to be something that people come from all over the world to experience. And then, of course, I'll have my readers there, won't I? I'll invite all my readers over, because we'll have like big fairs and festivals. And I grew up going to gypsy fairs and, psychic festivals and all that, but I want to do it the correct way. There will be nary a crystal or Palo Santo anywhere near what I'm creating, because we'll all be doing it the right way, proper. If there's witches, it's proper witches whose great 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 grandmothers from Germany and Scotland and all of that handed down the stuff in recipe books and, through word of mouth and all of that. The proper ones, the real ones, the ones that you wouldn't even know were the masters and mistresses of the elements. So, and again, I'm not saying that men shouldn't do this and women shouldn't do that. I'm just saying, if you actually stood in your proper energy, you would find that you are the key that fits the perfect occult lock for you to work on a master. And for women, it's things like cards. And for men, it's things like runes and bones and like divination. Working with, wood to find water And see, even just that, see, holding the sticks, you can read those sticks. It is possible to read those sticks. Men would be brilliant at stuff like that. Picking up sticks and then throwing them down and reading the sticks. Men would be brilliant for stuff like that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that men can't do it and women can do it and women can't and men can, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying men are stronger at some things and women are stronger at some things. And then we're supposed to come together to, work our magic together, because the divine feminine and masculine force, when it comes to the occult, ends up becoming like plutonium in your hands as far as magic is concerned. Like whoop, 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 irradiating power on such a level that it's almost too dangerous to touch. That kind of thing. Which is why whoever I end up with has to be my masculine opposite. He has to be strong and, like a go-getter, someone who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to get it, because he's the conjurer. He's the one that goes out and gets stuff. So if he's someone who if he says he's going to do something and then doesn't do it, he's not a good conjurer. He's not someone that you can rely on to go out and get the things that you need as a hunter-gatherer in order to feed the village and keep the kids alive and, that sort of thing. So you can tell a lot by a man by how he acts when he says he's going to do things. And yeah, if I'm destined to be with a man who is my masculine counterpart, then he's the complete opposite of me. And it's not that I'm lazy. I mean, I can be a little. It's just as like I'm lazy when I don't. If I'm not interested, I don't care, and then I'm a bit lazy. Or like if I'm so focused on trying to get to B, I don't necessarily care to pay attention on how I go from A to B because I just want to get to B. And it's not being impulsive and it's not being lazy or anything like that. It's just that I push the nonsense aside. I push the unnecessary things aside because all that matters is whoever's reading my stuff, whoever's dealing in my products or whatever, likes the end result. And sometimes you can slow the process down by dealing with the unnecessary things. And especially when it comes to like time jumping and catching codes and taking codes down and stuff like that. See, like with my spelling mistakes and grammatical errors, I can't stop to focus on those things because then it throws me out of the frequency. It throws me out of the streamline. And when you have that perfect streamline connective pitch with someone, it is a telepathic connection that is just an absolute force to behold that you never forget as long as you live, because the supernatural is real, but when you experience it, it is mind-blowing, whereas the paranormal makes you go huh and like scratches your head. The supernatural is like, whoa, oh my god. So of course I want to share that with everyone, but I know how to do it the right way because I was the one person that was chosen to fix it all, which is why I'm a threat to so many people out there who practice the occult or think they can or think they know everything, or, because I'm coming along to say no, we need to wipe the slate clean and start again because this is how God intended it, or this is how our ancestors meant it, or this is what Papa Tuanuku's actually trying to say, sort of thing. But the only way that's going to work is if the men and the women find their places within the energetic dynamic, the negative positive frequency, in order to create that, that connection of electricity, that connection of frequency. The positive and negative have to be in the perfect negative positive position, and that's the masculine feminine role. And what I'm building is an occult empire. And so the man who stands beside me, who sits on that throne and wears the crown of my husband, my protector, has to be the perfect balance of what it is that I'm offering in business, in entertainment, and finances and protection for the children and laws. Like, we have to be and think exactly the same. And we need to be a strong enough union where any glitch in the matrix, like anyone coming along trying to talk in his ear, anyone coming along trying to get me to move away from him, the distractions of the other men, the distractions of the other women, we have to be the kind of union where we are so focused on serving our purpose together as a husband and wife and for God and our ancestors, and that we don't even notice them, that they just bounce off us, water off a duck's back. And that's something that I haven't had, is that all the men that had the potential to be my protector all listened to the bullshit. They all got tempted away from the opportunity to be the great male protector for the most vulnerable children in the world. And I'm not going to have any man put a ring on my finger and get me to carry his last name, which I would do with pride, if his intentions aren't pure. If he can be bought and sold by the temptations of the devil talking in his ear to tempt him away from a pure path lined with gold, because his wife is the golden goose or has the Midas touch, then he can't be someone who has access to that kind of money and business and prospects in that, because he wouldn't be doing anything with the purest of intentions. It would all be for selfish gains, which with my ex-husbands you see that it was all about what they could get out of me, from my husband Martin hacking my email, my email and my Facebook and my Instagram, and someone's at my YouTube because someone keeps deleting all my messages to people. Because they don't want me progressing, because they don't want me getting it out there, because they know once I hit the mainstream and people know who I am, all their careers are finished and done with, and people will probably sue them and demand their money back, which is what I think they should do with Santaro. I think they should have launch a collective lawsuit, a class action lawsuit, because she's stealing my life and lying to police on police legal records and stuff, her and Chris are, and taking people's money for it. And that's fraud. And so when I get people like her out the way, and like my ex-students and that running around making readings at fairs and all that sort of thing, once people know the truth and we can get them out the way, then it moves them out of the way for the real ones to step forward. And then I've got actual soldiers by my side doing the work of the gods and the ancestors. So then I've got an army out there who will then use my products and can join my membership, come to my fairs and festivals and be a part of all of that the right way. Because there's so many frauds in this world, and so many areas of entertainment and business and government and social media and all that, that the underdogs are the ones that are being overlooked and being treated like dirt. So I'm going to give them their own little oasis. I'm going to give them their own place where they can shine, and then they can leave their social media and come over to mine and be the stars of the show, like they deserve, because there's genuinely some incredible readers out there who have been treated like absolute dirt by people who will never appreciate what a gift these little gems are. They're having to fight tooth and nail just to survive. They won't have to worry with me because they'll be making money every month, regardless of whether they do private readings or not, for the time that they're with me. And hopefully I can even be in a country where they'd be able to bring their pets. Hopefully. Depending on how long, because I don't know how long I want them to come over and teach for, because I'm aware of the fact that they've all got, kids and grandkids and things like that. So I haven't worked out, I haven't fine-tuned the details yet, because it's all going to depend on the property that I buy. And I'm kind of hoping, because I know that I think I'm about to meet my protector, things have been moved out of the way in order for new things to come in, you see. and I think I'm about to meet him, because I was always told that when my feet touch the ground of the place I call home, he would be waiting for me there on bended knee, which means we know each other before I get to the country that I call home. And I was told he would be delivered like a pizza, that I wouldn't have to do anything. He would be brought to me, and that I would hear his voice before I saw his face. But that once I saw him, I'd know instantly that he was the one. And then from that point on, it would just take off from there. That's what I was always told. And I'm hoping that that is true, because then it means when it comes to having to deal with lawyers and architects and builders and real estate agents and things like that, visas, he'll know what to do, because that's all the stuff I don't want to have to deal with. That's man things, and I don't necessarily understand it all. So I have to bring someone in who isn't going to let people take me for a ride, because then if that happens, then I have to turn into a bounty hunter and go after them and cause all sorts of hellstorm karma for them, which just slows everything down. Once I get to where I'm going, I don't want to have to deal with having to mete out karma to anyone unless it is absolutely essential, and I've been specifically asked by Father to do that assignment specifically. But once I take Starmer and Trump and all that down, please, I don't want to have to deal with being a karmic judge other than for my own foundation. So I just want a life of peace and quiet, where I can get kids to come in and put on plays and musicals and concerts and be actors and singers and dancers and bakers and whatever, and not have to deal with having to take down any more corrupt, evil, Illuminati puppet friggin' world leaders or business owners or billionaires or ex-students, or no more, please, Lord, no more. So yeah, so there's your first lesson. So I've got a whole pile of things set up in the background, all waiting to go as soon as I get out of here. And then once my feet touch the ground, man, I'm telling you what, I'm going to be throwing so many cool things out of this money from my lawsuit that is going to help so many people on so many levels. And I'm so proud to say that I built it all by myself with a little help from my friends. So I will speak to you later. Have a beautiful Sunday. Hold your head up high. Exciting things are coming. I can't wait. Yay! Just got to wait to get justice and then Armut. And then you just, oh my God, just wait and see. I will speak to you later. Have a beautiful Sunday. Ka kite anō. Mwah.